Jai Hind everyone, and welcome back today to another episode of Katha. Today we have with us Mr. Sandeep Kumar, a diplomat and a former ambassador for the government of India to various countries. So, with your blessings and permission, may we begin the podcast?
Absolutely.
So, when we look at the ongoing global crisis, for example, we could take the Middle East or we could take the Russia Ukraine war. Uh, what lessons from your diplomatic journey would you like to give to the youth of today to inculcate in them the importance of dialogue and empathy in diplomacy?
That's extremely important. You have mentioned two words, dialogue, empathy. And these two count enormously in diplomacy. There's no other solution. War and conflict can only go away with diplomacy. We've seen that in the Middle East in terms of the brokered truce between Gaza and Israel, hopefully leading to a more viable long term solution. We hope this can happen with Ukraine and Russia as well. All efforts are on. War has yielded nothing. There's been destruction, there's been a huge loss of lives on both sides. And in the case of Ukraine, there's been destruction of culture, of heritage, which is very sad. I visited the countries several years ago. It was very lively, it was very vibrant, very historical. And no country should have its culture destroyed. So, but I just keep hoping. I'm an optimist that this will be resolved with patience, with dialogue, with empathy, with all the parties coming together, and that is what diplomacy is all about.
Sir, you have served as a diplomat both in times of peace and in times of crisis. Now, according to you, what defines a successful diplomat?
Well, a successful diplomat is one who can be a leader and represent his country boldly, with courage, with conviction, with determination in the time of crisis. For me, the greatest crisis was the time of COVID, which was one of the greatest challenges for us, once in a lifetime crisis, which we had never witnessed anything like this before. I was in Ireland at that time as ambassador. We had 10,000 students, 100,000 Indians working in that country. Obviously, there was a lot of panic, there was mental issues, psychological issues. There were no flights, there were deaths which took place within that period. We couldn't transport the bodies back. Cremations had to be organized. We had a huge number of healthcare workers who were working there. I visited each one, all the institutions where they were working even during time of COVID. I traveled by bus, by train, by cabs. I didn't want to take anybody from office with me because of protection from infection. But I made it a point to be able to be there. I created this community support groups of different cross-section of people in every city or in major cities in Ireland, because Indian Embassy can't do it alone. So we collaborated with different cross-sections of people. We created community support groups. Their numbers were given out to the communities 24/7, who were contacting them. If somebody needed medicine, food, needed to be taken to hospital, everything was being arranged. And each and every message on WhatsApp, on email, on other social media platforms were being answered. So there was a sense of, comfort, and that Indian Embassy was there to assist. And it was a huge task. And leadership for me and diplomacy for me is, managing issues in the time of crisis, and not just being a leader when there is no crisis and it's easy to sail through. But when there is a crisis, and you take the bull by the horns and deal the challenge as it presents itself with dignity, with courage, with fortitude. That is being a leader, and that's where all your diplomatic skills come to the fore.
So, you have been a strong advocate for women empowerment and youth empowerment, as you have already stated and is clearly evident. Uh, in a National Geographic magazine cover, there was this title known as "An Afghan Girl." It was a very beautiful picture of an Afghan girl that was in a refugee camp in Pakistan. But when the reporters went back and clicked a picture of her 20 years again, it was a completely different story. She was being oppressed in the new regimes of Afghanistan. So, is there any single memorable experience from your time in Afghanistan that changed the way you look at the world, that changed the way you look at humanity itself?
I ended up staying in Afghanistan for 7 years. and mostly because of my respect for women. I wrote a book about my experiences called On Edge Passage to Afghanistan, which I dedicated to the women and children of Afghanistan. And people would ask me, how can you stay that long? Who are your ideals? For me, I didn't need to have a high flying person as my ideal. Every single woman or every single child walking on the streets in Kabul or Mazar-e-Sharif or Kandahar who were making a living, trying to live from day to day, were my ideals. I had friends in all fields of life, women parliamentarians, journalists, and they would show me messages on their mobile phone from the Taliban saying, if you move out of the house, we will kill you. And they never stayed at home. They were out, they were sleeping in a different room in their house so that they didn't create a pattern for the Taliban to follow them, or using a different way to work, a route to work every single day, so that they weren't shot at, but they weren't sitting at home. They were making a difference to society. They were holding society together. They were providing sustainability. And nobody was talking about them. They were the unsung heroes. For me, they gave me the courage, the conviction to live in life with boldness, with fearlessness. There was a woman police officer called Malalai Kakkar. She was a policewoman. She was going out in search of the Taliban in a burqa. She was a role model for other Afghan girls to join the police force. And she showed enormous determination and courage. And she was killed by the Taliban. But there were so many of them. And for me, they represented the core of courage and the challenges. So for me, women empowerment, women power has always been very important, and I learned a lot of lessons on that during my stay in Afghanistan.
So, you yourself are a very versatile person, an author, a painter. How how can you convince the youth that the art of standing out, the art of doing something different, the art of expressing yourself, even regardless of the fact that if you're rejected by society or not, is fine. That you need to find your innate desires and work towards it.
Absolutely. I've been saying to every youth that you are you, you are different. And please try to do things differently, out of the box. And that's, I give them my personal examples. When I was in Afghanistan, I was even competing in Mr. Afghanistan bodybuilding competitions. That was not an era where diplomats were taking off their clothes and strutting, in open stadiums and projecting their physiques. It was not an era where, the consciousness about fitness and physical regime was as strong. I was considered a maverick. Today, I'm very happy to learn that, there's so much awareness about fitness, of mind, the connection between mind, body, and soul through yoga and other activities. But at that time, I was trying to do things differently, and not for my personal cause, for the cause of India, because we wanted to project a message to Afghanistan leadership that India is with you in the field of sports, in the field of culture. And even when our Indian embassy was bombed, the very next day was my competition, and my ambassador encouraged me to compete because he said, I want talking points for the president of Afghanistan, Mr. Karzai, to say to him that we are not cowed down by the Taliban. India stands with you, while all the other embassies were shut or they had gone underground. So, it sends a huge message. And there is room for us to do things differently, although we think that, our government, our organization will not accept it or give us that space, but it does. And then this is all splashed in the newspapers. And India did get a big name. And yes, you said I'm a painter as well. I've used my painting skills to be able to project portraits of presidents and prime ministers in the countries that I've worked. Why? Because then I can, present to them, then I get private meetings with them. Otherwise, which president would meet a humble ambassador? But this way I made sure I would get meetings with them. Mandela invited us to his private home to receive the painting, which gave us an opportunity to talk about India-South Africa relationships at that time. Karzai invited us in Afghanistan to his palace to receive the painting. And similarly in Croatia, in Ireland. And then you get a whole hour with the leadership to talk about the current the issues, the challenges, and how to take them forward in the relationship with that country. So I've tried to do things differently. I encourage the youth to be different, to go out of the box, because if I have to choose between two, I would choose the one who's different, who can stand up, who can show up. And each one has the leader in them. I tell them, show the courage, the confidence to bring out that leader to the world. Nobody can say you're inferior to us. You are as good, if not better, than any single person around you.
So, what is some advice you would like to give to students who are appearing for the Indian Foreign Service exam or even the IAS exam in general? Because as we see it, many students many students compete for this and appear for this exam every year. They put in hard work and preparation, but still sometimes things do not yield fruit and things take a wrong turn in their lives. How how would you explain to them that this is not the ending point of their lives, rather just the starting one?
No, so no means it's the end point. Uh, you know, there needs to be focus, hard work, determination, and then no one can stop you. There's nothing known as impossible. Um, Never say no. That's a leader. And just focus on your dreams, your aspirations, the exam. Concentrate on the subjects what you're studying, and give it your best. If you make it, that's great. If you don't make it, that's still great. There are so many other options for you. And I'll give you an example. I was in Vishakhapatnam 2 years back, and I was just sharing a table in a cafe with three other youth, two women and one young man. And they asked me what I was doing, and I said, I'm from the Indian Foreign Service. And listening to that, the girl just started crying. And her tears wouldn't stop, and I was overwhelmed. I thought maybe I had offended her, I'd said something which she didn't like, or just my having worked in the government was not taken in the right spirit. And then finally, when she calmed down, she said, Sir, I've had this dream to be an IFS officer. I appeared in the exam 5 times, and I couldn't make it. I reached different stages, but ultimately I couldn't make it. And my life just dissipated. My fiance left me. My parents were very upset with me because I was just pursuing a single-minded dream. And now when I see somebody who's gone through that process for 36 years, I just couldn't stop my tears welling up in my eyes. And I said to her, look, today you're working as a scientist in Reddy's laboratories. You're doing far greater work. You're your own person. You're bringing so much to the table. Your knowledge, your expertise, your research abilities. I said, maybe it's a far better profession than IAS or IFS that you were pursuing earlier. So there are a lot of opportunities. Just give it your best. If you can get through it, that's fine. Otherwise, there are many other options. Just positivity, passion, and the spirit of never say no is very important.
So, you having traveled more than 130 countries and even serving as a diplomat and ambassador at many countries, what are some cultural aspects of life from other countries or from the people that you've met that you would like to see in your country today?
Each country is unique. It's different. India itself is so vast. It's each state is different. The dance form, the music, the food, the language, the apparel. That's why we are unity in diversity. And I've learned a lot from each culture that I go to, whether I've served in France or Croatia or Hong Kong or Vietnam, South Africa, Afghanistan, and I've learned I've tried to get into the society to learn the culture, and it's all about coming together. You can be you, I can be I, but once we all come together, there can be magic. So it's all about different cultures, melting point, coming together. It's like keep all the windows of your house open so that all the cultures can flow in, and that's what India is also about. And so I've learned a lot while retaining my core Indianness within, and it's a beautiful experience to be able to feel so many cultures and to learn so many languages, life forms, history, art forms, architecture, and there's everything. There's so much to learn for each country. We can imbibe and we can grow, and that's happening as well. So thank you very much. This has been a very, very uh, enlightening talk with you. I can see you're just in 10th class, and yet the questions were brilliant. And I really thank you for participating in this. And you represent youth power. So never let the stars in your eyes ever fade away.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.